Beginners often move the same piece 3 or 4 times while their other pieces sit on the back rank doing nothing. Imagine sending one soldier to fight while the rest of your army watches from home. That's what poor development looks like. Today you learn how to get every piece into the battle. Look at the starting position. Every piece is on the back rank, boxed in behind a wall of pawns. None of them can do anything useful. The knights can't attack. The bishops can't see the board. The rooks are blocked. The queen is stuck. This is an army that's asleep. Development is the process of waking up your army. It means moving your pieces off their starting squares to active squares where they control key lines and exert pressure. The player who develops faster has a huge advantage because they have more pieces in the fight. Think of it this way: if you have 5 pieces developed and your opponent has only 2, you're essentially playing with 3 extra pieces. That's like having a rook advantage. Speed matters in the opening. Get your pieces out, get them active, and get them into the battle as fast as possible. There's a natural order to developing your pieces, and following it will give you a strong opening every time. Step 1. Play a center pawn. We covered this in the last lesson. E4 or D4 opens lines and claims the center. Step 2. Develop your knights. Knights have clear best squares, F3 and C3 for white, F6 and C6 for black. In this position, both sides have developed their knights beautifully. Step 3. Develop your bishops. Once the knights are out, you'll have a clearer picture of where the bishops belong. Step 4. Castle to tuck your king to safety. Step 5. Connect your rooks by moving the queen off the back rank. When your rooks can see each other with nothing between them, your development is complete. This sequence, center pawns, knights, bishops, castle, connect rooks, is your roadmap for the opening. Follow it, and you'll reach a strong middle game position every time. Here's an important rule: develop your knights before your bishops. Why? Because knights always have an obvious best square. For white, the kingside knight almost always goes to F3. The queenside knight almost always goes to C3. There's no ambiguity. You know exactly where they belong. Bishops are different. The best square for a bishop depends on the pawn structure, which is still forming in the early moves. Should the light-squared bishop go to C4, to B5, to E2, or to D3? It depends on what your opponent does. If you develop the bishop too early, you might put it on the wrong square and have to move it again, wasting a precious tempo. By developing your knights first, you keep your options open for the bishops. After 3 or 4 moves, the pawn structure becomes clearer, and you'll know exactly where the bishops belong. Knights first, bishops second. It's a simple rule that avoids many opening mistakes. One of the most common beginner mistakes is moving the same piece twice in the opening. Every time you move a piece that's already developed, you waste a tempo. And a wasted tempo is essentially a free move for your opponent. In this position, both sides have developed 2 knights each. That's 4 development moves total. Now imagine white had instead played knight F3, then knight G5, then knight F3 again, then knight E5. That's 4 moves, but only 1 piece is developed instead of 2. Meanwhile, the opponent used those 4 moves to develop 4 different pieces. They're ahead by 3 tempi. That's like playing with a 3-move head start. The rule is simple: in the opening, every move should develop a new piece. Don't move a piece that's already been developed unless you're forced to, either by a direct threat or because capturing gives you clear material gain. 1 piece, 1 move. Get everyone into the game. What does a development advantage actually look like in practice? Look at this position carefully. White has 3 pieces developed: the knight on F3, the bishop on C4, and pawns control the center with D4 and E4. White is ready to castle on the next move. That's excellent development. Black, by contrast, has a knight on F6 and a knight on C6, but the bishops are still home, and black hasn't castled. Black played the pawn to E6, which blocks in the dark squared bishop on C8. White's development advantage means white can start attacking before black is fully set up. The bishop on c4 eyes the weak f7 square. The knight on f3 supports a potential d5 push. White has more pieces in the fight, which means more options, more threats, and more pressure. When you develop quickly, you dictate the pace of the game. Your opponent is constantly reacting to your moves instead of executing their own plans. How do you know when your development is complete? Use this simple 4-point checklist. First, are both knights developed? In this position, white has knights on c3 and f3. Check. Black has knights on c6 and f6. Check. Second, are both bishops developed? White's bishop is on c4. But the dark squared bishop on c1 is still home. Not quite done. Black has a bishop on c5, but the light squared bishop on c8 is blocked by the pawn on e6. Still work to do. Third, have you castled? Both sides have castled kingside. Check. Fourth, are your rooks connected? That means nothing stands between your two rooks on the back rank. White's queen and dark squared bishop still need to move to connect the rooks. When all four items are checked off, both knights developed, both bishops out, castled, rooks connected, your opening is complete. You've transitioned from the opening to the middle game with a fully active army. Let's recap what we've learned about development. Development means moving pieces from their starting squares to active positions where they control the board. Follow the ideal sequence: center pawns first, then knights, then bishops, then castle, then connect your rooks. Develop knights before bishops because knights have clear best squares while bishops depend on the pawn structure. Never move the same piece twice in the opening unless forced. Every wasted move gives your opponent a free tempo. A development advantage lets you attack before your opponent is ready to defend. And use the 4-point development checklist every game: both knights, both bishops, castled, rooks connected. When all four are done, your opening was a success. Development is the engine of your opening. Master it, and you'll start every game with a strong, active position. Remember, development means moving pieces to active squares. Knights before bishops. Never move the same piece twice unless forced. Check your development list: both knights, both bishops, castled, rooks connected. If all four are done, your opening was a success. Next, why castling early can save your life.